Welcome. This is the Matthew Bronson Show on KUPR 99.9 in the high desert of Placitas, New Mexico. Today we are talking, or I should say we are revisiting Casa Rosa, and we have Claire with us representing Casa Rosa. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Matthew.
When did you get involved?
I've been involved for about 4 years. It's an amazing volunteer experience. It's really been a great way for my husband and I to get involved in the community.
And now that I probably should have done this in the very beginning, what is Casa Rosa? We know who it isn't, but what is it?
So Casa Rosa is a community-based food pantry that's entirely run by volunteers. And it's located in the village of Placitas, right next to Placitas Presbyterian Church.
And do you know the year that it started?
It was founded in 2008, and it developed into its own sort of separate entity, with the church acting only as its fiscal agent the following year, 2009.
I don't know why, but Placitas kind of started really being developed in the mid 80s, 1980s, as far as the non-local inhabitants, us folks coming from other parts of the states settling here. So Casa Rosa, 12 years, I guess 13 years now, I would have said at least 20. So do you know what the evolution was of how it came about?
In the very beginning, the two women that I mentioned were inviting their neighbors over for dinner. When they knew their neighbors didn't have enough money to have enough food. And they went to the Presbyterian Church, and the Presbyterian Church began to think about how to do something more sustainable that would reach more people. And as a result of that, it was initially a program of the Presbyterian Church, and it evolved away from that pretty quickly into a secular program that the church simply assists. The building is owned by the church, but it is primarily an organization that's really run by volunteers. It's run by the community.
If I recall, 3 or 4 years ago when I was speaking to, I think, Sally Caro about this, it was like 100 families a week that are supported.
So in a given week, we serve about 45 to 50 families.
Okay, maybe it's 100 people I'm thinking of.
Yes, in a year, we serve about 178 people in a normal year. During COVID, a number of the other food banks in the area have closed because of the threats to their volunteers. And we have tried different ways to protect both our volunteers and also our clients so that we could stay open. And we were one of the few food banks that was able to do that. So we actually served an additional 70 families because area food banks closed. So we have always had a policy that people from other areas could come to our food bank for one-time assistance. And we served an additional 70 families in that way during COVID.
And they can only come one time?
Yes, that's been our policy. We're looking into doing other things that wouldn't involve using the Casa Rosa Placitas resources in order to be able to serve people who still need assistance. Unfortunately, there's still one of the larger food pantries in Bernalillo that's still closed because of COVID.
And when you said the ones that had closed in the area to protect their staff, and Casa Rosa wants to protect their staff, you're talking about protecting them health-wise. There's no physical issues here.
Exactly.
Okay. In this day and age, you never know.
Exactly, yes. We were concerned that we didn't want to be a super spreader event when people came to pick up food. So we've had multiple different ways that we have done our food distribution to provide people with protection, sort of tracking along with the evolution of the virus.
And I've heard different words used to describe what you're talking about. A food bank, food pantry. Are they interchangeable?
So we're a food pantry. The food bank is Roadrunner Food Bank, which is a regional food bank that gathers donations and distributes it to the food pantries who are responsible for the direct distribution to clients.
Okay, so the food bank is the warehouse and the food pantries are the retail outlets, as it were.
Exactly, that's correct.
All right, so about 100 people, any regular quantity of food, like 9 billion pounds of potatoes, or at one time I think I heard like at least one 18-wheeler a week comes in.
That's correct. We get distribution from the food bank on Friday mornings, and the truck comes quite early on Friday mornings. And it varies how much we're able to purchase. During the pandemic, we've had less ability to buy food from Roadrunner. And it's critical to be able to buy it from Roadrunner versus buying it from a grocery store, because Roadrunner is able to give us such greatly discounted prices. In any normal times, we can use $1 to buy $9 worth of retail value of food through Roadrunner. Whereas if we obviously have to buy it through a retail outlet, we'd have to pay the full price. There's no special price for food pantries. And
I think that's a point that I'll probably make more than once, because I was stunned by this, because I'm thinking of food collections. The Boy Scouts used to give you a grocery bag and you put cans by the mailbox or whatever. But what I've learned is if I want to go buy 5 pounds of flour at the grocery store and then take it over to you all, that money I spent, you could have multiplied maybe by a factor of 9 and have 9 bags of flour if I had just given you the money.
That's true. And also during COVID, we don't really have the capacity to disinfect food. So because we get government food, we have to comply with government regulations, and we've been asked not to accept food during COVID. We have a small space, interior space, and we're not able to do the kind of disinfecting that the federal government would like us to be able to do before we redistribute food.
And that will probably be with us for the foreseeable future.
Right. Who knows, really? I understand the Department of Health has said we probably have at least another 6 months of an altered reality like we've been struggling with thus far. So at least for another 6 months, we're probably
because
not
I was in one of the local grocery stores a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't see their circulars because I'm one of those people that shop the ads. Money's money. And I was just tooling around the store, and they had 10 pounds of potatoes for 68 cents. I said, wow, well, let me get $10 worth and take it over to Casa Rosa. And it's a good thing I didn't, because what would you have done with it? You could only eat so many potatoes, Claire.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. We have been unfortunately telling people that we can't take donated food, which is really, it's sad for us, but we can't take food from individuals for this period.
So how do you call up the food bank and go, I need this, I need that, or do they have an online form you fill out?
So we have a person who used to work for grocery stores who does the ordering for us, and she knows what our clients like to eat. So we don't order a great deal of things that are unfamiliar and won't be of interest to our clients.
Not a lot of firm tofu.
We don't offer tofu on a regular basis. That's correct. So she does the ordering for us, and we have 2 different types of food that we get from Roadrunner. We get the Department of Agriculture food, which we don't pay for, which is various kinds of things that people have excess of that gets donated to the food bank.
Is that the old government cheese cliche that they use?
Right. In these days, it's mostly dried things. So we get a lot of rice, we get a lot of dried peas, we get some canned goods that way. So those foods are foods that we don't pay for. And then there are foods that we can select and pay for at the reduced price that I mentioned before. And we do that every week. And that order is finalized by Wednesday. And on Friday mornings, we receive it.
And is it like some of these other grocery stores that have the online shopping and they go, are substitutions allowed? Like if you had you wanted mayonnaise, they didn't have mayonnaise, so they give you orange juice. Or...
They usually give us what we want or nothing. And unfortunately, lately, there's been very few items in the choice options for Roadrunner in the agency portal. So we have had to buy more food through
And who
retail
runs
outlets.
Roadrunner?
I beg your pardon?
Who runs Roadrunner?
Roadrunner has its own board of directors. It's a 501c3.
Oh, okay, it's not the county or the state or.
No. It's a large nonprofit.
Can you get grants from like the county?
We could write for grants. I don't know of any funds that are available through the county right now. We have gotten, because we were able to stay open during the pandemic, we got a grant from the Bezos Foundation. And that was only available to food pantries that stayed open continuously. And then we've gotten 3 grants from the Albuquerque Rotary Club and their charitable foundation.
Oh, since you're 501, this is probably all public. If on your wish list, what would you like your budget to be a year to serve everyone the way you want to serve them?
Well, it actually has been such an evolving thing that it's very difficult to say what our needs are going to be from year to year.
Right.
We had a pretty stable need until the pandemic. So we have a operating budget. We spend about $20,000 a year.
That includes purchase of the food?
Yes. So we have a board policy where we spend less than $350 a week to feed our entire client base. So we feed about 120 people a week for less than $350 a week.
I went to school in America, so I can't do the math that fast, but how much is that per person per week?
Oh, I don't know that either. I'm also
a graduate of America. We'll go find a 6-year-old who knows how to do it. So in all of this kind of focuses, well, it was time to do an update on Casa Rosa, but now this is a very fortuitous time because besides needing food and all that, there's a big infrastructure need that is going on.
Yes, so we have been looking away from our roof problems for some time, and we can no longer look away. The structure of the roof is such that you're not supposed to have more than 1 or 2 layers of shingles, and we've patched it up to 3 layers. And we also have a fair amount of wood rot underneath those shingles, and we don't know the extent of it at this point. But we have had volunteers fall partially through the roof when they were trying to do patching, so we know that it's pretty significant. So we are in the process of doing what we're calling our Shingle by Shingle fundraiser. And the concept is that we are asking every household to contribute at least $25 to help us with the roof repairs so that we can continue to be the kind of crossroads of this community that we really feel that we serve this community as. We bring together a lot of parts of the community that wouldn't intersect normally.
Right.
And there's very much a social aspect to being at Casa Rosa. We spend a lot of time just standing around having coffee and being together, which is something that doesn't happen a lot in our community because there's so many different parts of our community that don't intersect. And we are not able to do that as much now, of course, because of COVID, but we are still connecting parts of the community that wouldn't normally have any communication across their separate little subparts of the community.
So other than your customers, how many volunteers are there? I guess it's just Saturday is when the store is open.
Right. So there are volunteers there on Thursday that are doing stocking. There are volunteers there on Friday that are unloading the truck for the delivery. And then there are volunteers there on Saturday doing the distribution. And we have volunteers that come on other days that sort through clothing. We are not accepting clothing at this point and household goods, but we still have quite a stock of clothing from previous years of donations.
It's terrible with winter and you can't take, sweatshirts and jackets.
So we did for winter take coats because our clients needed them badly enough that we felt like the risk was worth it. but we have a full stock of summer and spring clothing from previous years. So we're using that rather than taking the risk.
Anything in a 42 long?
I don't know actually what sizes we have, but we have a lot of clothing right now. So we do allow clients to go in one at a time and look at our clothing stocks.
That's fantastic. So the board is made up of how many people?
We have 15 right now.
And how long is the term until they burn out?
Well, it could be that if it's shorter than our regular term. The regular term is 2 years, and you can serve for two-year terms.
Oh, so there are term limits.
Yes. We try to encourage newer volunteers to rotate into leadership so that everyone has a chance to be part of that team.
And I know that from in the before time, as I call it, organizations like the library board and the Hard and Narrows and all of that. It's hard to get new people on, especially young folks like people under 60.
Well, we haven't had that problem, actually. We have a lot of people who want to be part of our team, and our volunteer team has grown. I guess I didn't ever answer your question. So we did reduce our teams to 8 to 10 per day, so that we wouldn't expose an entire group of people and lose our ability to continue to serve. So we have multiple teams of 8 to 10, and we rotate those teams.
Seems like a well-executed military maneuver.
I think we're warmer and fuzzier than military maneuvers, but we have about 50 volunteers at this stage.
Wow, that's fantastic. I was speaking to one of your volunteers probably more than a year ago now. I did not realize how labor intensive it was. I thought the 18-wheeler pulled up and a whole bunch of spry young men and women unload it and take it in. And he was telling me, no, you could get a 50-pound bag of sugar, and he was doling it out into like half-pound Ziploc bags. That's a lot of work.
Yes. So we don't do a lot of separation, particularly during COVID. We're trying to do less of that. But unfortunately, we do get distributions that are larger quantities of things. But it is a lot of work. The distribution at this point, we are not able to have people come in and shop the way we used to. It was a very high priority for us, for our clients to be able to select what they wanted as opposed to us selecting for them. But in COVID, we've had to do the prepacked boxes, and they're quite heavy.
I used to live in another part of the country where they had, I wouldn't say a food bank, but there was subsidized food that needy people could get. And there was a minor fee, maybe $10 or $15. And you'd go and get this huge box. And it was, it's whatever they had. You get 5 pounds of ground beef and a dozen eggs. They always had like a cherry pie or something in there. But there was no options. If you wanted plum or whatever, that's the box that came. So the way Casa Rosa is set up, more like a grocery store, there is no charge.
Right. So during normal times, what we would do is we would have clients come in the order that they arrived, and they would shop for what they wanted. Unfortunately, during COVID, we are prepacking boxes and we're giving them what we have. And at one point, we did have a system where we would give the clients a list of what we had, and they would pick what they wanted. While they waited, we would fill the box. But because of the variants, we decided we couldn't continue to do that even. So now we are back to prepacking boxes. And it is about 30 to 40 pounds of food, depending upon the week. So it's a very large quantity of food. And actually what we find is that usually we give people more food than they want.
Well, I guess that's a committee that goes, well, maybe we should put less frijoles and more of this. Because I guess people eat a somewhat consistent diet all the time with a few variations.
Right. We get that food that we don't request. And so we need to move that food out. So that's tends to be the reason that people get more than they want, is because we have more dried beans or more rice or more canned garbanzo beans. Those are three things that we get a lot of. And so
do you ever get anything like totally weird, like maybe 30 cases of yellow marshmallow peeps?
We do get marshmallow peeps after Easter. Yes. Well, apparently they last forever.
Like Twinkies? Actually, Twinkies do have an expiration date.
Yes, but peeps, not so much. I think we can have for a long time.
Is it listed as food under the FDA?
I don't know.
Wow. That's weird. The one thing I picked, you actually get.
We do get that well after Easter.
So back to the roof, since that is imminent. This is a shingle roof and not a flat roof or anything like that.
That's right. It's a pitched roof with shingles.
And you probably can't do like I've seen many organizations where you can buy a brick with someone's name on it. You probably can't. I guess you could, with a white Sharpie, write someone's name on the shingle.
On the shingle.
Sell shingles for $100.
Well, it is very important to us that we not set out any kind of expectation that people will contribute at a particular amount. We really want the broadest sector of the community to participate. So no amount is too small. Sure. We suggested $25 so that even some clients might be able to help. So people who don't have a lot of disposable income could be part of this process, because we really believe that Casa Rosa is a community endeavor, and we'd like people to just like build their commitment into our roof. So $100 sounds like a lot of money to a lot of people, and I don't want people to have the
me too.
Yeah, I don't want people to have the impression that that's what we expect or are asking for. We've gotten donations of $5 and are happy to get them. But we were hoping that we could get $25 from every household so that every household could be part of this.
And how are you getting that information out? Probably through the church, the Las Placitas.
We put it in the signpost, and at all of the major intersections along 165, there are signs with our little shingle to shingle illustration. And the homeowners associations are putting it out for us in some homeowners associations. And our 50 volunteers are passing the word to all of their friends. And of course, we're doing this radio show. So we're hoping that we'll reach everyone through one of those avenues.
Are you getting any airtime from the local stations in Albuquerque? Because they do come out here to do stuff.
We haven't asked for that yet. So it's a good idea.
I've taken up your whole afternoon now. And you said that you don't know till you tear the roof off what you're going to find. Right. But I'm sure you've spoken to contractors and they go, the worst case could be, is there any order of magnitude of price we're looking for?
No one has told us what the worst case could be. So
how about the best case?
The only contractor information we have is what it would cost to tear off the shingles and put on new shingles, and that's been from $15,000 to $20,000. And anything else is a big unknown.
Yeah, it's not surprisingly, I've never replaced a roof. I have no idea. I can tell you how to buy a car or computer, but you could tell me that roof is $5,000 or it's $50,000, and I was smacked across the face with that. Like 2 months ago, someone was getting solar, and the solar people said, your roof is okay, but it's not going to outlive the solar panels. And then you got to pay to get them down and put them back up. So they went and got essentially a new roof. And that was $22,000. And my teeth about fell out. It was like, it's a roof. Right. But apparently these things are expensive. And I mention that because I want people who are listening and watching on KUPR and abqlive.tv, that this is not like reupholstering your car, that this is serious business with some serious money that's needed.
Right. I think $20,000 is sort of the general number that's tossed around. We did have to have our own roof redone recently. And $20,000 was where we started in terms of the estimate. So
Were you as shocked as I was?
no, we were expecting that, and our house is not as big as Casa Rosa, so we are actually not too concerned about the initial price. What we're holding our breath about is what kind of repairs are going to have to be done underneath the roof.
Yeah, because that's a lot of labor, and repairs always, as we said before we went on there, repairs often cost more than replacing.
Right. We've also very recently discovered a little bit of asbestos in our building, and there is a contractor who is working on that for free for us tomorrow to remove that. But we're also a little nervous that maybe more of that will come to light if we have to do repairs in the ceiling.
Maybe you'd end up like one of those TV shows where it's a knockdown and start over.
Oh, I hope not.
I know, and I'm sure it's not.
Yes.
Maybe you could get one of those. Did you write This Old House and have them come and renovate it?
There you go. Well, if we have to go that far, we might need to.
The problem with those programs take so long to produce that I don't understand them. They've got a nice house in New England, but it needs all new plumbing. But from the time you write them to the time they show up could be 2.5 years. But if you needed plumbing in New England, how are you going to wait 2.5 years? It makes me wonder about the whole what's going on, as we all wonder about everything else that's going on. To that point, Claire, and I'm speaking with Claire of Casa Rosa Food Pantry, right up nestled between, I guess, the post office and the Las Placitas Presbyterian Church.
That's right, 640 Highway 165.
640.
Yes.
Okay, the post office is 652. So you're right there.
Yes.
So we spoke a lot about the health precautions that you need to take, and these are, you follow the New Mexico Department of Health, or is there the Department of Food Banks that has additional rules?
There are additional rules, but they are derived from the guidance from the health department.
So if our current governor says, just like many other states, just kidding, go back to normal, will you all go back to normal the next day, or?
So we've been meeting much more regularly as a board to respond to changes by the Department of Health. And we would certainly have a board meeting to discuss whether or not we felt comfortable with reopening at the levels that the Department of Health was suggesting. And I couldn't really predict what we would do. We're guided in part by the church's input about how they would like to see our work done, but primarily we've stayed ahead of both the state and any recommendations from any other organizations by just tracking the CDC ourselves.
I assume there's at least an informal association of food banks and food pantries where you all kind of chit chat about how's it going.
There's a formal connection through the food bank. So the food bank sends us all updates on what's being recommended regionally. We've been in communication with the closest food pantries about how they're managing, but there isn't really any kind of organization beyond what's overseen by the food pantry. Right. I'm sorry, by the food bank.
Back to money.
Yes.
How do people get their money to you?
So you can mail a check to PO Box 768 in Placitas. 870, yes, 87043 is our zip. Or you can go to casarosafoodpantry.org and push the pink Donate Now button and follow the directions.
And that will accept any amount?
Yes. Yes.
So give me the URL again. Casa Rosa
Food Pantry.
Food Pantry.
.org.
.org. What have I missed?
I guess I want to just underscore that part of our mission, in addition to serving basic needs, is to create a place of welcome in community, in working together with our clients. We become friends with our clients, and we form those bonds through meeting needs, but also just with the time together. And those bonds have not been lost through the pandemic. And we've been able to include new volunteers, even though it's a very difficult time to do that. So it does serve a purpose that goes beyond simply meeting the needs of folks who are struggling financially in this difficult time. It serves a purpose for all of us because it gives us all a place to meet. And I think that mission of welcoming is at least as important as the meeting of the basic needs of people in our community who have fallen on hard times either temporarily or have really long-term struggled with the various kinds of burdens of poverty.
Do you work in conjunction with the Placitas Senior Center so that if some of your customers or clients may need something that you can't offer, you can go, oh, well, go up there, that they can help you with some health things or maybe some tutoring for your child, doctor's appointments. They're a great resource. The county is rich with resources for needy adults. So do you work together?
Sure, we do. We try to direct people to all of the resources that are available in the area. And we have a number of shared clients with the senior center.
And especially with the Meals on Wheels program, they're also providing crazy amounts of food. I always think of those poor guys like Joe who drives around, and all of a sudden you get a flash snowstorm and I'm stuck at home because of my driveway, but he's out there delivering lunches every day. Right.
People really need that food. And it's wonderful that Meals on Wheels is working in our area. It's no small thing.
And it's similar to what you're saying. You have a sense of community when the community center driver shows up. It's like, I'm seeing another human being. I can talk for a few minutes. And sometimes that's all it takes to just not be alone.
Right. That is one of the things that we have implemented in COVID is we have a service group of volunteers who take food to our older clients and clients who are medically fragile and feel unsafe coming to Casa Rosa because they might be exposed to something. So we have about a half a dozen clients that we take food to so that they have a connection with a person who comes from the outside of their home, and so that we know that they're okay and that they've gotten the food that they need.
Right. Now, the volunteers who work at Casa Rosa Food Pantry.org, I assume they do all of the other things like painting and the landscaping or whatever landscaping we do out here. It's one big organization.
That's right. We do have a facilities team that's been doing a lot of work. If you've noticed when you've been driving by, they've replaced our fascia, they've replaced stairs inside. They're doing a lot of sort of basic maintenance, and we have a specialized group doing that work.
Does anything else go on during the week? Because I mean, if you've got it open for business on Saturday and you've got volunteers Thursday, Friday, what about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? Is it just closed?
Yes, unless the facilities team is doing work. That's one of the reasons that the building has gotten into a place where it needs so much repair is that nobody lives there. You know, we're there for a few hours every week. So it's been easy to say, oh, let's wait on that. And we can no longer wait on the repairs, but there generally aren't people there other days of the week.
Does Casa Rosa Food Pantry.org have a endowment fund?
We don't.
That sounds like a good topic for the next board meeting.
It would be great to have an endowment fund.
Or maybe that's not, there may be other words for it or legal terms, financial terms, but there are some folks up here who are not spring chickens anymore. And if they do have children, they've probably old enough that they either made it or didn't. So a lot of folks have been fortunate and accumulated some money. Most of them, I would think, probably use that money to generate money to live on. But at some point, they're not going to need the money. You can't take it with you, or so I've been told. I'm going to try. So you start looking at, well, there's going to be a decent chunk of change for a lot of people. And where's that going to go? And places like Casa Rosa would be a great opportunity.
Right. We would welcome anyone who would like to do that kind of donation to us.
So you can take that. It just is not strictly an endowment fund.
Sure. We don't have a set aside endowment fund. We've never had that level of financial support.
Right.
We've had great support for day-to-day kinds of work. And if anyone would be interested in discussing making us the beneficiary of a will or the beneficiary of some sort of larger gift, we would love to have that conversation.
There is a new sheriff in town over at the church, a new pastor.
Pastor Rich, yes.
Has he moved in and settled in?
Yes. Oh, yes. It's lovely.
Any
a lovely
date when
addition.
live performances are going to start again?
I don't know that. The church itself is open during the week, so that members can be there between 10 and 2 and interact with church staff. But I don't know any of the details about when the church might be open again.
In time, it will all happen.
Right.
And, again, how shall we sum this all up, Claire? Casa Rosa Food Pantry.org needs the community support, especially now because the roof is falling in, or people are falling in through the roof. It's a big number. It would not be surprising if it hit $20,000, which is not big for a roof, but for anything, you can buy several cars depending on the car. But so Casa Rosa Food Pantry.org is where you can make donations online, or you can drop checks off at the food pantry on, I guess, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or just go straight to the church.
Right. You could go straight to the church. The church's post office box is box 768 in Placitas. 87043 is the zip code there. We are there on Saturday mornings between 8 and 11. So you can come by and see us at work and drop off a check. And we'd also welcome people to just sort of check us out. So look at CasaRosaFoodPantry.org to learn more about our organization, and keep us in mind beyond the food pantry roof replacement, because there is a very big shortage of food available through the food banks, and the food pantry roof is just our current need. We'll be around for years to come, and we would love your ongoing support. We'd love for you to be a part of us as a financial sponsor.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of where you come in on the whole COVID thing, whatever situation the United States has gotten itself into, in New Mexico, Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Placitas, this is going to be with us for quite a while, and people needing assistance with food is not going to go away. Even if someone goes, you don't need to wear a mask, that's not, things aren't going to just snap back.
That's correct. Food insecurity is going to be with us for a very long time. It's a very big problem in the United States.
And any special people you'd like to give a shout out to, as the kids say?
We're so grateful for the support that we've gotten from the Rotary Club. They've really helped us through this particular time. And we have a number of monthly donors who've also been amazing. We've relied really heavily on Karen Cox at the church to process all of the great community support that we've gotten this year, and we're grateful for that. And we're also really grateful to the Shore family, who have helped us with holiday celebrations year after year after year. They have purchased turkeys for all of their low-income neighbors for many years, and
Wow.
we're very grateful for that.
Sure. So, well, thank you, Claire. Do you have an official title over at the Casa Rosa Food Pantry.org?
For the remainder of this month, I'm the board chair. After this month, it will be someone else, and that remains to be determined who it will be.
You have that Cheshire cat smile when you go, one more month. I love my job.
It's been a very exciting time to be part of Casa Rosa. I'm
probably very fulfilling.
Really proud of all the ways that our volunteers and the community have stepped up to meet the needs in this particular time. It's been very challenging.
Yeah, we're good guys around here.
True that.
True that. All right. Well, then for KUPR 99.9 in the high desert of Placitas, New Mexico, this has been the Matthew Bronson Show, and I've been talking with Claire about Casa Rosa Food Pantry.org. They need our help, so do everything you can. Thank you. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you.